there was a funny interaction that Vish and I had on Twitter. So I was really piling on the Niners as they were down 17-0. I couldn't wait, and I just went for it.
Yeah.
I wrote, Kyle Shanahan is responsible for this, and I didn't say what this was. Well, the game changed. They won, and you quote tweeted and says, "Yes, he is!" Exclamation point, which is a really funny way to turn that because damn right he's responsible for that 27-7 run. So what did you see from Kyle in this game and in this season?
Honestly, so there's a lot of things that I think he's done well this season. I think there's some things that he could have done better. To quote him, by no means was he perfect. But the thing that to me stood out, and I think it stood out for the 49ers, and I think it's a product of who their head coach is they fight in every game. They don't quit. They battle in every game. Every player seems ready to give it all and compete. And I think that's a really interesting thing about Kyle Shanahan. And Joe Buck and Troy Aikman mentioned it on the broadcast. But typically when you have a veteran team with this many players on 1-year contracts and you start 2-5 and you're 3-5, that's usually your season because everybody starts thinking about making personal business decisions because they're thinking about where they're playing next year. In the case of the 49ers, nobody quit and they were able to battle back. They were able to save their season. And to me, that's a product of the culture that Kyle Shanahan has cultivated for the last 5 years. And it's a product of, I guess, who he is as a head coach. I guess the fact that he is such an honest and upfront person, and he's that same honest and upfront person in losses and wins. He says by no means is it perfect when they lose. He says by no means was it perfect when they win. I think that part of him really came out, and that's why the Niners were able to turn their season around.
Okay, let me say what I'm impressed with what I was particularly impressed with from him in this game and all season. I get on him with his decisions. I say he doesn't make good decisions. Well, it's hard to make good decisions. Maybe I don't always make good decisions. And then I get on him for doubling down on his bad decisions, which he does sometimes. But what I want to say is he also, the other side of doubling down is having the courage of your conviction, like having conviction. And he has that. And so when they were 3-5 this year, if I were a head coach in that situation, maybe I panic. Maybe I start questioning my convictions and start wildly searching for. I think people do that, and you don't respect it. I respect that at 3-5, he stuck with what he thought was right. I respect that at 17-0 down, he stuck with what he thought was right, which is Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right.
And I respect it. And you know what? He just might win the Super Bowl this year. Like the season isn't over. He hasn't been proven wrong yet. I respect that. Respect it.
And you're absolutely right, because to me that point that you just made, the fact that you might disagree with his decisions. I think everybody has certain quibbles and everybody has an opinion on what's right. But I think what's impressive about him is that each decision he seems to think is thoughtful enough to the point where he feels that he's put enough thought and considered every single variable where no matter the result, he's going to continue focusing on it because he's considered every option. He felt he's made the right decision. It's bit him in the butt a couple times, but there's no knee-jerk reaction. Oh, we're down 17-0. Get out of here, Jimmy. I'm going to throw in Trey Lance, who I traded up so much to get. Oh, we're 3-5. Season seems to be falling apart.
I was wrong. I was wrong. Let's do the opposite of let's just do opposite day. No, he never does that. No. So, what was I going to say? I want to say one more thing. It'll come back to me in a minute. Anything else you want to say about Kyle Shanahan?
Yeah, I thought he put on a masterclass of play calling in that third quarter. That drive, he took the Rams' heart when he went on that.
Legendary.
The 10 runs in a row. That was wildly impressive.
Capped off with a wide receiver throwing for a touchdown. Legendary.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was great. And again, how he was able to win a game with a quarterback who committed 2 turnovers. That's impressive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the quarterback because he's had a game that was basically a microcosm of his entire career. But yeah.
Before we go to him, this is what I wanted to say. I'm glad that I stuck with it. So Kyle has the courage of his convictions, and he's very thoughtful in his decisions, right? Even if they're the wrong one. I just hope that this manifests itself with Trey Lance too. That he really wanted Trey Lance. That's the guy. He wanted Mac Jones or Aaron Rodgers. That he's just not talking about it out of respect for Jimmy and this team, but he feels that as strongly about the future with Lance as he does about the present with Jimmy. I just hope for Lance's sake and the Niners' sake and Kyle's sake.
Yeah. And the one thing I want to say also is when you go on the road and you get jumped on, the way the Niners got jumped on in the early in that football game, and this is a must win. Usually there's desperation. And
Yes.
I thought the one thing that was consistent in the Niners' body language throughout that first half is they still seemed to hold their nerve. It kind of reminded me a lot of when Jim Harbaugh's 49ers got jumped on and went down 17-0 in
Yes.
the loudest stadium in the NFL that year, the Georgia Dome, in the NFC Championship game. And you remember Frank Gore told Jim Harbaugh, he's like, just keep running the football. We got this. We got this. I thought that kind of culture, there was no image of Deebo Samuel saying that to Kyle Shanahan, but Kyle Shanahan, obviously, he didn't look flustered or scared or nervous at all on the sidelines. And I thought Deebo Samuel's body language throughout that game just reflected the utmost confidence because they tried to intimidate Deebo early in this game by trying to get some real big shots on him to show that they weren't going to get pushed around by him. And it looked like, when Jalen Ramsey hit him, Ramsey was the one who was feeling it, not Deebo.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan has put together a very confident team. Sometimes I feel like to a fault, like when they lose games to Seattle, like, yo, you really, or to Colt McCoy, to me, it's just like overconfidence. But then when they go into a game like this where a lot of people, they're 4-point underdogs, a lot of people think they're going to lose. They just have this resolve that is uncommon. I'm not used to it. And I think there aren't very many teams like it in the NFL because I think most teams are like kind of churned every 3 years. This team's been together for 5 years. They've been in big games and they know that they own the Rams. And I think that 17-0, it's like once they got those three before halftime and they knew they were getting the ball in the second half, I think there was nothing to panic about. So anyway,
Yeah, pretty much.
good job, Kyle Shanahan.
Pretty much, yeah.